All right, what is going on, guys? It is time. I want to turn the music up a little bit. Yeah. This is going to be the stage everybody has been talking about. Nobody talked about the marathon stage, but this time around, stage preview, stage number 6, the first time they are doing a Chrono stage. And we've got somebody special on the line. None other than Willem Avenant hanging out with us. Willem, say hello.
Yes, hello guys. Making me feel awkward. I don't know, is that special, man?
Well, come on. Technically, for most of the people listening, you're closer to the Dakar than most of us, so
technically, theoretically, as distance goes, I am.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the rest of us over here on the Pacific Coast are freezing our asses off, and you're in the summer. So
I am in the summer training and getting hot. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey this last 11 days. I've been doing a mini Dakar myself, so I've been on the bike like 12 days in a row now, everyday training. So that's been a very, very interesting 12 days.
Nice. Yes, we have. So for those of you playing the home game, we've got a Decoding Dakar series that we're working with Willem on his journey to the 2025 Dakar. So you guys can catch it on the channels here. You can follow him on Instagram and the world. You got all sorts of stuff going on.
Yeah, and I'm excited. I think definitely in our January episode, we'll kind of decode what happened in Dakar this year. But I'll also tell you guys a bit more about my recent trip to South Africa. I've discovered so many amazing racing places, and obviously I make road books from wherever I go and ride. So, I've got like 20 road books around Cape Town now, which is pretty cool. Nice. And then, there's a lot of things that happened on the qualifying front as well. But we'll leave all of that for later in January. Let's make sure Dakar finishes first and give it the attention it deserves.
I know, right? No, and then not only that, here, let me pull it up for those playing the home game so they can see the mess that is happening tomorrow, or actually in just a little bit. So we're first. Okay, so first bike is going to be officially. They are actually right now getting into their road book time. So the first bikes are already getting the road books. They've checked in, and 9 p.m. Pacific Coast time is going to be the first bike departing into this Chrono stage. So Willem and I were talking about this right now, and man, this is something new. 387 mile total special, 135 miles of liaison, right? And breaking it down into kilometers, they got a 108 kilometer road section up front. They've got a 625 kilometer stage that they're going to do in sections. And then they've got another 110 kilometers to get back home or back to the bivouac. So the interesting part is this is what we were just talking about is, okay, so they've got these virtual checkpoints, these sleep zones along the way, right? And it seems like they're kind of almost borderline keeping it a mystery is exactly how we're timing. But I think we got a pretty good theory of how it's going to go down.
Yeah, I think so. I think for the guys that doesn't know, normally Victor and I work at rallies behind the scenes with the timing and the tracking and the officiating. So from that, we were decoding it from that perspective, and we also managed to get our hands on the race briefing for stage 6. And I think between the race briefing and between our combined experiences on the ground in the field, I think we've created the most likely scenario of at least the easiest way to do it. If the ASO isn't doing it like this, there is a better way.
I know, right? Yeah, it's going to be, if they're not doing it this way, it's going to be very interesting to see how fast they can math, because it's going to be a lot involved.
Exactly.
So they're
and I wouldn't want to be that guy. I tell you that much.
I've been that guy before. 2 a.m. and the stage starts at 4, trying to figure out numbers still and results. So it's not the definitely not the business. So let's break it down really quick. So we've got 3. No, it's A through G. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 7 stops along the way, right? A through G. And
that they call break zones, I believe.
Yeah, the break zones. So we won't talk. I mean, there's going to be fuel stops all over the place, because obviously, 387 miles. That's at least, if you ran these bikes completely bone dry with what I believe is their minimum autonomous range, you'd still have to fuel them twice, because I believe it's still 300K that they got to pull. So
yeah, that they give a good. They show the refuels are. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 refills overall, including the bivouacs, so and the liaison. So let's say just inside the special, you can refuel at the start. Then you've got a range of 193 Ks, so you don't want to get lost. Then you've got a refuel at point A, which is, it looks like point A is actually your first CPV. No, so point A seems to be after your first CPV. Then you've got a 206 kilometer range. But you know what? I'm actually looking at the car one. Sorry. But the point is, there will be enough refuels in the desert for them to. I don't think anybody's going to be running light. I think they're all going to be filling up full because they don't want to get lost in the desert and fighting that bike. I mean, I don't want to call it scared. I'm apprehensive for this stage after seeing how soft those dunes are, and I'm a amateur rider, right? For me to do 100 k's in the dunes is a lot, and to think about 600 kilometers just dunes. The Dakar might have had stages like this before, but the only way that I can take this apprehension off my chest is to break it up and say, you know what? Okay, it's 300 Ks a day. To me, that's eating an elephant one bite at a time. At least I can do that. Yeah. But to think about 600 Ks through those dunes with those bikes, and then with no support in the middle of the night. These guys are getting canned food, a sleeping bag, and a tent. The one good thing is it's going back to the Dakar of old. It is making you excited for the Dakar of olden days, because all the people that are. I can see a lot of people complaining about this stage after they're done. We will see. We'll see. But this is it. This is going to be where the boys are separated from the men.
I 100% agree on that. This is going to be, because here's the picture I'm imagining in my head as I'm hearing this is, okay, so let's just say for the GP guys, right? Rally GP guys, we know they're fast. We know, obviously we got guys that are really, really good in the dunes. Now they inverted the start order, so they're going to be starting towards the back. They'll have some tracks to follow, bonus points there, right? So we're not really even worried about the first two, I would think. I don't see them having a problem in getting to C. So to the C, the third virtual checkpoint, I believe it is. Yeah, the third, CPV 2. At CPV 2, that's roughly about the halfway point, 347 kilometers. I feel like what's going to happen is everybody gets through the start line. They're going to make their way to A, make it through A. The slower part of the group is going to make it down to B. And then there's going to be the top fast guys that are going to clear the B or CPV 1, and they will show up. The time is going to expire, right? So B closes at 4:30 in the afternoon. So at 16:30 it closes. So there's going to be guys that are going to be between B and C. They'll finish their time, right? 16:30 will arrive. They're going to get to C, and when they arrive at that point, there's the checkpoint that they have their CPV 2, their time will stop. So whatever they just raced past 14:30 is added to obviously their total stage time. Now what I'm picturing in my head, and I think is going to happen, is there's going to be the guys that sneak by at 14:29 just past B. And then they're going to race all the way to C where everybody else was already. So it's going to be, you may have already been there. We'll throw somebody out there, right? Ricky shows up at C, and then it's almost an hour later. And then all of a sudden here's Luciano, or here is Quintanilla, or here's one of the other guys, but it's because he managed to cross past that line at B. before time expired. And
exactly.
honestly, I don't see where they could do it any other way. You got to race to the next point, because if you stop or you give up mileage, I mean, I just don't see that happening. So
no, and the thing is, the way that I see it is that if there's no way that anybody's going to be disadvantaged, because as long as your clock starts and stops at a certain point, then that's it. So I think that idea actually makes it more interesting, because if you get to a point, let's call it point D, which is 4 o'clock, you have 33 kilometers to go from point D to point E. And I've just sent you the updated map for the bikes, the FIM map. So then that gives you 33 Ks, and let's say we get there at 5, like you said, 5:55, 3:55, right? I think that anybody that still has gas in the tank, physically and mentally, are going to push. But and then all that means is that tomorrow my day is shorter.
yeah,
But it's not going to affect my time. It just means that I'm 30 Ks further than I would have been, but now I'm going to get in past my deadline at the next one, because I've already passed the deadline for the next one, which is 4, which means I'm just going to stop when I get to F or to E. I just stop, basically. And that's the plan. I think it's important to note that if you want to tap out earlier, you can. So, and it would be very interesting for the normal guys, not the top guys. It's somebody like when I go to want to see what your strategy is going to be, because it might be a scenario where you like, listen, I'm going to conserve myself. I just want to get halfway through the stage. Then I'm going to tap out and rest, because you're allowed to do that. So you can stop at any of the break zones. The only caveat is your timer only stops when the break zone time arrives. So if you stop at break zone D at 2 o'clock, your timer is still going to run for 2 hours till 4 o'clock, and then your time will stop.
And then your time will stop, which is, and it's kind of interesting how, if you look at the map layout, how it kind of goes around and it loops. It's almost in a position where I believe the ASO could say, hey, look, if you struggle to make it to 200 kilometers, there is not enough time in the day tomorrow for you to go all the way down to B, C, and then come back up and then still finish the stage, because you're still past. So A and D, those two happen to be very close to each other. It looks like, at least on the map. So it almost looks like it's at a point where the ASO could come up and say, good try. We're just going to cut your day a little bit short. At least that's what I'm seeing. And then as you were just mentioning, as you get further on in the day, the distance from rest stop to rest stop, or virtual checkpoint to virtual checkpoint, gets shorter. So it's really not like it's not like it's like you have to make this decision that's like, okay, if I cross this line right now, I'm committed to having to go another 150K. No, not really. It's actually only 30K. It's only 50K that you got to go race, and then get that time, take that. So I feel like to me, that's the easiest math problem, rather than, okay, now you redirect everybody back around to this, and then everybody stay here and stand on one foot, and you face east, and it's just, no. It'll just create so much havoc with the timing. And I mean, the golden rule is you never have somebody going backwards on the course, ever. No. So, I think it'll be, and especially in those dunes. So I think it's a scenario of, like you said, we get to a point and it's a choice. Do I carry on or not? And I think that's where, again, you'll see the separation. Honestly, I think if you get to a point 1 minute before your time and you're so tired, you're going to be like, oh, I want to stay here. And then let's say the true racers, the guys racing, they're going to be like, no. And I think, because, I mean, think about the anticipation in the racers' minds, because nobody knows with these top guys what this is going to be. So think about each guy
each team is going to have a plan because they're going to purely look at the distance. And my guess is that the terrain in there is hellish. So I suspect, the team manager is looking at these distances and they all have plans. This one is like, listen, let's try and push to make it to CPV 5 because then tomorrow when you come in, we'll have more time to work on the bike. Or other people will be like, well, let's see if we can finish the stage. So I think there's going to be so much of that going on. And I think tonight or tomorrow morning, your time, when all of this has been said and done, it'll be a super interesting kind of thing to pull apart to see how it actually went. It's an open question. Do you think anybody could reach CPV 5? Oof. That's 550 Ks, man, in the dunes.
That is a very
insane.
Big. That is a very big chunk. That is absolutely a very big chunk. And yeah, like you said, the dunes is not the easiest. It's not easy on navigation. It's not easy on top speed because you've got we saw the stage brief. They even said it in the stage brief that there are some big dunes that these guys are going to have to do. So the guys that are more versed in it, obviously, the Nacho and Quintanilla. Van Beveren, who are more regarded as more dune experts, those guys will probably maybe fare a little bit better. But what's interesting to me is to wake up tomorrow morning and try and figure out, where's everybody at? How far did we make it? And that I think is going to be the interesting thing. And not only that, but just like how you were just saying, is the strategy of it, right? You think, okay, I barely made it to B. I know I got 5 more minutes. I know I can cross that line, but you know what? I could really use stopping now. I'll spend those 5. I'll give those 5 minutes away, but I'm going to sit and I need to address this on the bike right now. Like this is an issue I need to address. So it kind of, it plays into that push. Or do you be like, okay, well, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to push another, 30K. And just hope for the best. Hopefully it holds together. There's so many little things to this stage.
Exactly, because there's a whole different dynamic that opens up, which is the team dynamic. So let's say we are part of a team. I need to be sure that you are ahead of me, and now I have a bike problem. Now all of a sudden I'm running not against the clock of the day, but I'm running against 4 o'clock or whatever, because I'm like, man, I have to catch you in your bivouac tonight because you need to help me with my bike, or you might have a spare I need. Yeah. So, I think now that we talk about it, I'm changing my mind. I think that if I were a team manager, I would actually want my guys to stick together on this stage.
Yeah.
I would actually be like, guys, whatever you do, make sure you're in the same bivouac tonight.
Yeah.
That's your brief. If you have to wait for each other or go slower, but imagine having a Team Honda or Team KTM or Team Hero spread out over 3 bivouacs, which I really think is possible. I really think they might be spread out over D, E, and F. And now you're sitting there, your bike's broken, your buddy is 30 Ks away.
Yeah.
Like you could probably run to him if you want to. He's across the dunes.
Yeah.
So that would be disastrous. So I would love, maybe you can try and get a team manager on the line on the follow-up show to hear what the strategy was. But I think as a team manager, I would probably say, guys, stick together. I mean, it's not worth throwing the race away on this stage.
Yeah, I think, I'm going to go, especially with the Honda guys challenging right now up at the top. So to me, I think where it's going to be at is these guys will probably, maybe not the full team, but, they'll see how the stage shakes out and then they're going to pair off. Like I could see, like we just said, if Quintanilla and Cornejo are good in the dunes and they have a very similar pace, I could see them hanging out together. I can see Ricky and Skylar hanging out together. And then once they get past that first, okay, we made it to this stop. Great. We're paired off. We can work, give each other a hand. Tomorrow's race day is let's see how fast this thing will go. Tomorrow we race. Today we just survive and try and make sure that we're there for each other. at the bivouac or at the rest stop or what. I don't even. What are we going to
break zone? I don't know what they call it. Or break point. Now I see another one saying break point. It's so weird, but yeah.
I don't know. They got all sorts of stuff going on. Yeah, I know, right? So, but yeah, so it's going to be an interesting one. And you know, it's funny. And this is, God, I don't know that we could ever have come up with a better pun. And I had no idea that this was going to happen. But you know what? It'll make sense when they get there.
They
just got to enjoy the ride to the first stop.
I'm so curious to hear what the terrain is like there. I suspect, looking at the road book and looking at those notes, in the briefing they give us these the tricky notes, you know. Like if there's a triple caution downhill massive dune, that makes me want to see this thing. I'm like, man, okay, we're talking some serious dunes and some serious downhills. And I think that's the other thing is bike conservation, right? These bikes we just before the race day, some of these bikes have been ridden as hard as they can, and if anything is going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong on this stage. So we have to hope they get there. Yeah. I think maybe we can also chat a little bit going towards the end. What's very cool is that, you know, if you get to the end, you're actually going to get a flight to Riyadh, which is pretty cool. I think that'll be interesting. A bunch of stinky guys on a plane.
On a plane.
That'll be very crazy. So they check their bikes in and then they fly to Riyadh for the rest day.
Yeah, I'm. And what's funny is I'm looking at it, and we're going to get over to the starting order here in a minute because we're less than 4 minutes away from the first bike taking the stage. I'm looking through the briefing and the road book notes for the FIM, and it's funny at the halfway point and at the end of the stage on day 2, 6B. Both of them have these like the kiss farewell notes. I mean, I don't, there's physically not enough room to put any more information in these tulips. I mean, they are bad. So we'll wait for this to happen. And then we'll probably, I don't know if you shared them or we'll share them because I think this is worth some people getting to see exactly like how bad this can be. I mean, if the people watching can see the background in mine, and this is a road book from Baja Rally behind me. Still a great road book, but there is a very big difference between that and this, just in the amount of complication that it is. So I don't know, not to take any away.
No, it's a different, it's a different type of race in this case. And I think that's the thing with these complicated notes is, I mean, your brain, you get to a point where your brain can only take so much. And I think if you're focusing on riding, that becomes problematic because it's like, how do I get past like these things and focus on the road book, especially if you're hot and tired and what. So it's going to be interesting.
It is. Yeah, that's a very good point. You only have mentally, I mean, we've all been through it. You go through a really tough day at work, and by the end of the day, I mean, you can't even decide which shoe you're going to take off first. And so these guys have to do this for hundreds of notes, and then they get greeted with that, as the last, as the farewell. So it'll be interesting to see. So, all right. So
the other thing I'm saying on a lighter note is, they have what you get. So when you arrive in the break zone, you're going to get a survival ration for 24 hours. So if you're a big eater, that's going to be an issue. You're going to get an aluminum mug. You're going to get a set of cutlery. You're going to get 12 50 kiloliter bottles. So that's 6 liters, I guess. Yeah. And then you're going to get a bin bag. So my biggest question is, do you poo in the bin bag or do they have toilets there? Because I don't know what the bin bag's for.
Yeah. How do you do this? You throw everything away? Do you bury it in the sand? I don't know.
I'm sure they'll have a toilet. I'm sure they'll have it locked off in the desert, but it was just funny to me that they get a bin bag. But 6 liters of water, because you're going to have to hydrate as well. So this is truly going to be a survival stage. You have to plan. You're not going to be able to just ride it. You're going to have to think about it.
Yeah. No, I think it's going as planned. One, they've got everybody going crazy over this, trying to guess at how they're going to time this thing perfectly. And then, and I know they have to, and I know they have to. I mean, we were at Sonora, we know how it is. Like, there is no room for error when it comes to dealing with, the competitors and the timing and everything. I mean, down to the GPS, down to the meters, down to it almost seemed like millimeters, that the checkpoint wasn't in the right place, that the sign wasn't in the right place, that all of these little things that have to be exact and very, very precise. And it's because the sporting regulations, it's like teams will have lawyers with them, that their sole purpose there is to make sure that everything is in compliance, both with their team and then with the teams around them, because that could be the advantage. 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, whatever it is, so I don't know. We'll see how it shakes down.
Then we'll see, but I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty confident that the system that currently is going to work. So I think if we want to recap it for the guys, it's very simple. There's 6 points. You get to a point. That point has a designated time. If you get to that point at the designated time, you stay there. If you get to that point, whichever one it is, A, B, through to G, if you get to a designated point before a designated time, you carry on to the next one. Your clock carries on running. It stops at a designated time. And then the next morning, when you start again, your clock starts going. Another cool thing that I like is going back to the Dakar of old. When you are in your break zone the next day, there will be 3 honks from the car 30 minutes before you leave. There will be 2 honks 20 minutes before you leave. And there'll be 1 honk 10 minutes before you leave, and then you're back at it. So that's going to be cool. That's going to be back into that spirit of the old Dakar.
Yeah. They're going to be, this is going to be interesting. A bunch of guys spending the night in the middle of the desert that weren't, the marathon stage is one thing. Everybody's hanging out. It's kind of a bivouac. It's the VIP bivouac for all racers only. The membership costs the entry fee and a very expensive plane ride. But this is going to be different. You really don't know who you're going to end up with. So that'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. So,
totally, man.
Awesome. Well, excellent. Well, let's get to the starting order, and then I'll ask you for your who you think is going to put the fastest time together. Sound good?
I can try. Yeah, that's pressure. You didn't tell me that's coming.
Oh, well, okay, I'll give you a minute while I go over the starting order to go to put your best guess together.
I kind of have a moral obligation, so it's not going to be a guess for me, but it's not even an obligation. But okay, let's go. Yeah, I'm listening.
All right, here we go. So starting order for stage number 6A is going to be John Beretta Bort, leaving right at 9 p.m. He is on the Hero 450 Rally, and then followed by Antonio Mayo in the number 2 spot. He is on the Yamaha WR 450 Rally. Gimeza on a Gas 450 Rally is going to be the third off. Gonçalves in the number 4 spot. Martin Micek 5. Nacho Cornejo in the number 6 spot on the Honda CRF 450 Rally. Kevin Benavides on the 450 Factory KTM. Skylar Housen, the number 8 spot, going to be Honda CRF 450 for him, of course, Monster Energy. Luciano Benavides showing 9th, but remember, he's got a penalty, something about an engine swap. So 15-minute penalty for him. That's probably, I don't think they've announced that yet, but I don't know if that time is going to be accurate. We'll see if that's exactly where they do end up starting him. After all, Stefan Svitko in the number 10 spot. He is on the KTM 450 Rally Replica as well. Checking in with Ricky Brabeck, leaving 11th. Ross Branch in the number 12 spot. Mason Klein 13th off the line. Daniel Sanders 14th. Toby Price 15th. Adrian Van Beveren in the number 16 spot. Pablo Quintanilla in the number 17. Let's move on down a little bit. Let's find some of our other guys here really quick. Devesi in the number 10 or 20 spot. As he scrolled too fast. 27th. Then taking a look. We'll keep going down here because they were doing some inverted starting order stuff. Let's see here.
Yeah, because I think were they doing the top 17 or the GP riders with the inverted start, and then they go back to normal. Or what was the decision? That's how I understood it, but I don't know what they did in the end.
Yes. So top 17, ending with Adrian Van Beveren is the 16th bike off the line, and then the next bike that's Quintanilla is the 17th bike off the line, and then it is Tobias Ebster. Interesting enough, he's in Malimoto, Rally 2 Malimoto. So he's putting together a hell of a race. So that is that's kind of a rundown there. Top 17 with the GP guys up there. All right. What do we think?
Oh, so are we talking stage win overall for the 2 days? I guess it's the only way we can do it, right? We're going to see like the fastest time when they get back to the bivouac.
Yeah.
Look, out of the gate, I think the best thing I've learned about dunes is that, you have such an advantage if there's tracks ahead of you, because you can read the tracks. And you can see the quality of the sand and the drops ahead of you way better because of the way that the track displays, the way that it splays out, and you can judge the terrain just better watching other tracks. So I think the guy starting in the back has a huge advantage.
Yeah.
The issue is I actually think that they'll probably catch up the openers at some point. Now, Ross Branch is leading the rally. He's a fellow. He's not a South African, but he's Botswana, so he's a Southern African, and that's very close to my heart. The first rally I ever raced in, he raced in, and I think the time difference between the two of us was something like 6 hours, which is crazy, over 5 days. He made up an hour on me every day. Wow. So so Ross for me is like a bit of a personal hero, and I really support him. So the fact that Hero is opening, right, that's gonna create a lot of good stuff for the Hero team, because clearly Ross can benefit from his teammate opening. And then the fact that Mason is behind Ross, I think that personally this is Ross's year for me. He's been fighting this for many years, and it's very rare to see somebody cling to the general lead for this long. He was off the general lead for a few days and then he was back. So I am putting my hat in the ring but you see, if we're talking stage win, he's going to play conservatively because he's done this before. He knows that this is the chance where you're going to lose your race. So I don't think he's going to push. So let's roll back. Who's got the most to win by making up time? Mason, here's my thing. If the bike holds, which I hope it does, I think Mason can take the stage win just because he's so damn fast. And at this point, he has nothing to lose. So if you think about it, any team that's still in the running has got a podium to lose. Yeah. And I think that if you've come this far, what would be a better way than winning the Chrono stage, especially for Cove or for Mason, for core racing. So actually, I'm gonna pull a number, because I think if Mason starts behind Ross has got so much experience, and he's learned the expensive, heavy lessons. And it might be that if those two can stick together, at some point Mason will just break away and he'll be like, let me do it. I think that actually going to be conservative. So that's my call. Let's see.
Yeah. So claim Mason for a win. Is that what
for stage one? And I'm not trying to diss the bike. I'm just saying it's the same it goes for everybody. If any of the bikes don't break, yes. I think that simply because he has nothing to lose and everything to win. Yeah. He has everything to get. Everybody else on that list has everything else to lose. But because of these issues he's had, I think he's the top contender. Or at least I feel that he's going to be the guy that gives 110%. Yeah. He's going to be the guy that rocks up at 1 minute to the time, and he'll still going to push on and not stop. Yeah.
Oh no, 100%. Yeah, I really doubt. The only reason he wouldn't make the call to push on would be because he knows that he could better use that time to fix something if need be. I think that's the I can.
Yeah.
I
So
can see
that's
that.
interesting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my guess. But let's see. Let's see. I hope so. It'll be very interesting. So
I know.
I think the big boys are going to take it easy, or at least I hope they do, because otherwise there's going to be problems.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that happening in the first half. Second half, it's, all out war because now everybody kind of knows where they're at.
And it's a rest day. So
Yeah.
I think that it would be a very interesting thing to see where they finish on today and where they finish tomorrow. Because my theory is that your time where you finish today is going to be very similar to the time you finish it tomorrow. Even if your theory is to push, because again, you're going to wake up in the desert hungry, probably cold, because those tents are pretty shocking. And you're going to be like, well, I have a rest day tomorrow. And yes, I can push. But again, the risk is just the same as yesterday. The only difference is it's not a marathon stage.
Yeah.
Because I think that last section of dunes are tough. That's also why those bivouacs are so short.
Probably
in between.
short,
It's
yeah.
because it's going to be very tough dunes. So we can only in retrospect we'll see. But I'm guessing that the two stages, the finished orders of today might be very similar to the finish order of tomorrow. But that's just my prediction. I don't know.
Yeah. I think, I like it. I see this. I kind of see the same thing. I see that, Mason doesn't have, obviously doesn't have anything to lose. Obviously, it's still safety first. It's not that he's riding. I think that the bike, I'm hoping that everything has kind of been sorted. These were the growing pains early on with the new engine package on the bike. So I'm hoping that tomorrow he's going to be in a position where he's got enough fast guys in front of him that's going to help him make up some time. So I see him making his way up to the lead group. And when the sifter finishes, I feel like he's going to be in the top there. And
I fully agree.
Yeah. And then from there, it may just turn into, it may go on to something where it just is the dune guys, the guys that are used to riding dunes. So I think that we're going to see Mason rise up to the top 5 again, hopefully top 3. But I think that it's going to be, one of the dunes guys. So I don't know. I mean, it could be, Ross Branch is a great candidate for that inadvertently. Maybe same thing, top 5 up there. Maybe doesn't want to make it all the way to the front. So that way he doesn't have to open the second half. This is going to be interesting for that.
That will be very interesting who opens the second one.
Yeah. How fast do I want to push? Because, Mason, I don't think it matters, because for Mason, he doesn't care. I mean, hey Mason,
he likes opening.
Hey Mason, what number do you want? That one. Come get me. So I think that will definitely, I think Mason will with no fear try and move as far up the field as he can, because he's not afraid of opening, while other guys are going to be like, if I open tomorrow, this may cost me my podium. This might be it for me in the Dakar. And I don't know.
Exactly that.
Yeah, maybe some of these guys may follow Mason because they go, well, if this kid can navigate, maybe I need to stick with him.
Well, and he can navigate. So, if I can get any of those guys' advice, if you see a green bike, follow it.
Yeah.
That he can navigate. No, that guy, it's fast and he can navigate. It's a very rare skill to have both. Most of these guys have to either learn to go fast or learn how to navigate, and he seems to just have it naturally.
Yeah, and it's interesting. We've talked about it at length off the air or off channel, but there's a thing that I know, and I think Mason at a younger age, because he's at a younger age, his motor skills, his firing skills. I mean, when he looks down at a road book to look at a note, I bet you could probably test it and see how fast he reacts to what he sees and compare it to any of the other guys. And I am willing to bet that he can process it faster than anyone else. And that's just, unfortunately.
You're talking about the firing time of your brain synapses.
Yeah. He's just gonna be,
look.
Yeah. I can't.
Mine definitely depends on the time of day and how much I've had to drink. I can tell you that.
Yeah. I know it. I know it from the RC cars and calling and race directing RC races and watching these guys battle over tenths consistently, tenths of a second. And I mean, the amount, like how quickly they can change and move and do and all of these things, it's just absolutely insane. And then not only that, then you go watch their hands on the controllers and you're like, how is he moving that fast? So there's got to be something to it, but I don't know. We'll see.
No, there is.
We'll see.
Well, it's super interesting. I think if the ASO and Dakar has not managed to rivet the small group of us that absolutely love rally to our screens, and in South Africa, people joke that you don't get anything done the first 2 weeks of the year because everybody's just staring at their phones and looking for updates. So I think today and tomorrow is going to be it. I think all of the Dakar fans are just going to be glued to their phones for information because they are so restricted so much that we're not going to know. And I also don't think they're going to have signal in these bivouacs, so we won't be getting personal WhatsApps and stuff, which is pretty much the best way that we've been getting information is from all the guys that that's there.
Yeah.
So. That's not going to happen.
I know.
So I think once they hit Riyadh and we get all the stories, that's going to be when the real stuff comes out.
Yeah, I think so. That'll be it'll be interesting to see when we get the first few messages of how things are going. So I'm curious to see tomorrow morning what the map looks like. Like, how do I know where everybody is at? Because we won't see that. They won't make that live until the actual. They're not going to make that live until the vehicles leave. So we'll see how that goes. That's awesome.
Well, I'm super excited. I can tell you that much. I've got like an 8-hour drive today back to my hometown, service the bike and leave everything there. And then I'm heading back to the US. So
nice.
We will chat. I'll definitely follow it up. And let's see how it goes. Maybe we can check in once more before the end and see how things are going.
Yeah, absolutely. With more predictions.
Now I know. Next time I'll be prepared for a prediction.
It's better when you don't. It's better when you don't.
Cool, man.
Awesome.
Well, have a great evening there, and we'll chat soon. Let's see how it shakes out.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you. Enjoy. See ya.
Thanks.
See ya. Bye. All right, so there you have it. That was Willem Avenant Racing. You can see his picture there next to the map. Photo taken by West by 1000. If you guys haven't checked them out, they've been to the Dakar a few times. They're a local photography and kind of almost jack of all trades. Kira does the writing and Justin does all of the pictures. I don't know why I couldn't remember him, but anyway, phenomenal on doing coverage and stuff like that. So if you guys haven't checked them out, it's West by 1000 on the Instagrams and on the Facebook. So check it out. They got a lot of great work that they've done. They've traveled to a lot of the rallies, done a lot of the articles, things like that, done race reports. Very, very nice stuff. So always enjoy seeing their work. And yeah, here we go. Stage 6, first bike should be off of the line as of 17 minutes ago. So we will see how this starts to shake out. What are the predictions? What are you guys thinking? A little bit longer of an episode today. The normal stage briefs are a little bit shorter, but got a lot to talk about for this one. So we'll see how it shakes out. I hope everything is going well with you guys. Remember, it'll make sense when you get there. Enjoy the ride. See ya.